You may be seated. There's nothing like a wedding, is there? You got a beautiful bride and a studly groom. Okay.
That wasn't good.
But we're doing more than just watching friends and family and a daughter and a son commit to each other. This is a really special event. This is not just a ceremony. We're actually watching two individuals create a family and a couple. We're watching God bring Brian and Denise together. This is not a normal Saturday afternoon. And you are blessed to be here. So speaking for the bride and groom, welcome to our wedding. We're so glad you came to share this time with us. I want to walk you through the next few minutes. Right now, Dad is standing as a representative of the bride's family. And he's standing between this couple. And it's not in a bad way. This is his girl. This is Linda's girl. As he places her hand into his, and as he kisses her on the cheek and returns to his seat, we're watching the families that raised Denise and Brian step back in a way, releasing them to each other and blessing a new family. But many times in loss, God gives gain. And we're watching them gain a son. Brian's family is going to gain a daughter. And next, they'll hold each a hand and face me, and I'm going to share a few words about marriage. Brian and Denise will agree to take each other into this new relationship, and then they'll join hands. And you guys will fade into the background, and so will I. And over the next few moments, they'll look at each other, and Brian will vow to keep his promise to Denise. And Denise will vow to keep her promise to Brian. And they'll give each other a symbol that represents that commitment. And at the end of this ceremony, I have the best job of all. I get to announce to them and to you and to the government and to the entire world that what used to be two individuals will now have to change names, future plans, take on in-laws, do retirement planning together, and more, as I pronounce them husband and wife. Yes, this is a wedding and it's a ceremony, but it carries a tremendous spiritual importance as well. And I believe God is here. Brian and Denise are inviting God to make this relationship something incredible. This is anything but a normal Saturday afternoon. So Brian and Denise, we're celebrating tonight an institution that God uses to show the world some of the beauty of heaven. He's the author of life and of love and of real happiness. And if you let Him, He'll make this union beautiful and lasting. Today what we're doing is we're simply recognizing that you are two willing parties, recognizing something that God made into each of you, something that seeks to be completed in the other. I believe that together you have what it takes to make a great marriage. And because of what's at stake, this ceremony carries tremendous importance and significance. So would you all join me as we commit this ceremony to God? Father God, I thank you for this moment and all the memories that will flood later from this moment. But I thank you for the bigger thing that's happening this moment. Two individuals are becoming one family, one couple. And God, I'm excited about where you're leading them. Thank you for letting me play a small part in this. God, would you inspire both Denise and Brian to live big, to love each other through good and bad times, and to remember this moment as the start of a beautiful marriage. In Jesus' name, amen. So when a couple comes together, families also come together. And it's important for families to believe in the union that's taking place, to always work to support this couple in their marriage. Family is going to step back, and family is going to grow. So Nate and Jenny, I want to turn to you first. Speaking as Brian's parents and on behalf of the entire family, are you willing to pledge your support of Brian as he leaves to begin this new family unit and to demonstrate your love to Denise as your very own daughter? If so, say, we will. All right. And I want to turn to you, David, and to you, Linda. Speaking on behalf of all of Denise's family, are you willing not only to support this union, but to embrace Brian as your very own son? If so, say, we will.
We will.
Brian, I think I've known you for 15 or so years. And when this all started, my relationship with you, I had no idea that you would become such an amazing person. And you're smart, even though I don't always admit that. You're very capable. And I've been so impressed at how well you care for Denise. It is a privilege to have been a part of your life and to be your friend. And I'm blessed to be able to be a part of this. Denise, we've gotten to know each other after some conversations and counseling, and I love that you care so deeply about Brian. And one of the things I pick up is how greatly you respect him, and that's just it's amazing that you also care about pleasing God. Brian and Denise, on your own, you are obviously very amazing people, but you could be so much more. I love Ecclesiastes 4. Solomon is lamenting the way things are, and he's talking about companionship. And in verse 7 he says, I observed yet another example of something meaningless under the sun. This is the case of a man who is all alone, without a child or a brother, yet who works hard to gain as much wealth as he can. But then he asks himself, who am I working for? Why am I giving up so much pleasure now? It's also meaningless and depressing. Two people are better off than one, for they can help each other succeed. If one person falls, the other can reach out and help. But someone who falls alone is in real trouble. Likewise, two people lying close together can keep each other warm. But how can one be warm alone? A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but two can stand back to back and conquer. And Solomon just calls it like it is. Life is better with friends. And I love, Denise, that Brian is your friend. But if we go back further to a man in the garden, with all of God's creation, even God himself, God proclaims that even he, in a perfect world, with access to the Creator himself, is still incomplete. And he creates for him a helpmate, a companion. Brian, you will be complete as you give yourself to Denise. And Denise, you're missing something that you're going to find in Brian. The Bible presents this relationship that you're about to enter into, this marriage commitment, as a lifelong covenant. It's not a contract. It's very different from that. A contract is about what you get out of it, but a covenant is about what you give to it. Companionship, a commitment between a man and a woman. You guys are making a pledge to each other, and in this pledge, you two become one. For this cause a man shall leave his father and mother and shall cleave, is what Scripture says, or adhere closely to, or stick to. Brian, you're not going anywhere without Denise, his wife, and they shall become one flesh. So Solomon goes on, two are great, but three are even better. For a triple braided cord is not easily broken. Denise, imagine never going anywhere alone again. Knowing that Brian is near, he's supporting and he's sharing and he's struggling with you and he's hurting with you. The two of you will be awesome. Brian, you're not going to go into any meeting again, into any difficult conversation, into any event or social gathering. Whether she's with you in person or not, Denise is with you now. But Solomon says, even that can be stronger. God can not only make your marriage stronger, He can be an active part of your marriage. He can help you find agreement when things aren't working, when you love and love but you're tired. He can help you forgive when she messes up. And He can help you trust when He comes up short. This is a big deal. Brian, you're going to provide a rock for Denise. When she's hurt, she'll know that it's okay because you're there. You're the guy that God made for her. And when she's happy, she's going to share with you, knowing genuinely that you care because you're the guy that God made for her. And Denise, you're going to provide a resting place for Brian. And when the world seems to be caving in on him, he'll know that it's okay because you're there. You're the gal that God made for him. When he's worried about providing for your family, he'll know it's going to be okay because you're there. You are who God made for him. When the best thing ever is happening in his life, he'll share it with you with joy because you are who God made for him. So Brian and Denise, I think it's clear that God has ordained this moment and is bringing you together. So Brian, Jacob, Paul, do you take Denise to be your wife? And do you commit yourself to her to be responsible in the marriage relationship, to give yourself to her in love and work, to invite her fully into your being so that she can know who you are, to cherish her above all others, and to respect her by encouraging her to be herself and grow in all that God intends? If so, answer, I do.
I do.
And Denise Ann Starnes, do you take Brian to be your husband? And do you commit yourself to him to be responsible in the marriage relationship, to give yourself to him in love and work, to invite him fully into your being so that he can know who you are, to cherish him above all others, and to respect him by encouraging him to be himself and grow in all that God intends? If so, answer, I do.
I do.
I've researched a little bit a whole old Hebrew custom. We were talking about it a little bit last night. It's an ancient wedding ceremony where a priest will take the hand of the female and slice it open a little bit at the palm. And he'll do the same with the male. And then what he'll do is, this is to symbolize the two becoming one flesh. And then what he'll do is he'll join their hands together and he'll wrap them around and around and over with a rope. I did forget my knife today. But as the blood flowed together and the hands were tied together, I can imagine that they got the picture. This is a big deal. Tied together. I mean, this isn't something we can just call off. In a very real way, Denise and Brian are becoming, you get it, you're not who you used to be anymore. There's no going back. This is your new reality. So as you repeat these vows, realize what you're promising. This is serious. It's a big deal. It's not just something that you can wake up and call off. This is for the rest of your life. Brian, you get to be with Denise for the rest of your life. Isn't that awesome? And Denise, you get to be with Brian for the rest of your life. Isn't that amazing? So now would you face each other and join hands? If any of you here are sitting next to your spouse, I just want to invite you to reaffirm your own vows of commitment by taking hold of the hand of your spouse. Brian, will you repeat after me? Denise, I take you
Denise, I take you
as a gift from God
as a gift from God
to be my lifelong companion
to be my lifelong companion
through tears and laughter,
through tears and laughter,
sickness and health,
sickness and health,
work and play.
work and play.
I will love you faithfully,
I will love you faithfully,
constantly,
constantly,
and prayerfully,
and prayerfully,
now and for the rest of our lives.
now and for the rest of our lives.
This is my promise
This is my promise
until death parts us.
until death parts us.
And Denise, would you repeat after me? Brian, I take you
Brian, I take you
as a gift from God
as a gift from God
to be my lifelong companion
to be my lifelong companion
through tears and laughter,
through tears and laughter,
sickness and health,
sickness and health,
work and play.
work and play.
I will love you faithfully,
I will love you faithfully,
constantly,
constantly,
and prayerfully,
and prayerfully,
now and for the rest of our lives.
now and for the rest of our lives.
This is my promise
This is my promise
until death parts us.
until death parts us.
So every covenant has a sign or a symbol to remind each party of the responsibilities he or she brings into the wedding or the covenant relationship. These rings are symbols of your love. These rings are visual reminders to you and to all others that what you have promised to do, you will do. Wear them as a constant reminder that you are pledged together and committed to one another for life. Brian, would you take your ring from your attendant? And would you repeat after me? Denise, I love you,
Denise, I love you,
and I give you this ring
and I give you this ring
as a sign of my love
as a sign of my love
and faithfulness.
and faithfulness.
And Denise, would you take your ring from your attendant? And would you repeat after me? Brian, I love you,
Brian, I love you,
and I give you this ring
and I give you this ring
as a sign of my
as
love
a sign of my love
and faithfulness.
and faithfulness.
And there's one more thing. Who knows where life is leading this couple next? But I know this. Wherever the job, whenever the kids, wherever the house, and whatever the reason, God is going with the two of you. And when you let Him, He'll direct your steps. He'll bring peace where you don't expect it, and He'll fill each home and each moment with love and hope. So this couple wants to represent this hope as with a keepsake. So, the Unity Cross is a sculpture which will serve as a lasting reminder of the covenant they're making today. Each piece of the Unity Cross represents the unique strength and beauty and originality that God has given Brian and Denise. When these pieces are assembled together, they represent the two becoming one in the presence of God. So Brian, go ahead and take your piece. This piece of the Unity Cross represents you and your responsibility to God. That you will lead your home and your family by His Word by placing this piece of the Unity Cross onto the base. You demonstrate your promise to Denise that you will serve her and love her and support her for as long as you both live. Denise, go ahead and take your piece. This piece of the Unity Cross represents you and your strength and support to Brian. By placing this piece of the Unity Cross into Brian's cross, you demonstrate your promise to Brian that you will serve him and love him and support him for as long as you both shall live. So in the drawer there are 3 pegs. And these 3 pegs of the Unity Cross represent what will set your marriage apart. These pegs represent God's covenant to you as a married couple because of your faith in Him, and you're putting Him at the center of your lives and your marriage. He promises to never leave you nor forsake you. And because of this, His love and His word will be the bedrock of your marriage, bonding you together stronger than any trial or difficulty. As you place these 3 pegs into the cross, in the name of the Father, and the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, what God has joined together, let no man separate. Here's the good part.
I know.
For as much as you, Brian, and as much as you, Denise, have openly pledged yourself to one another in love and in faithfulness, in the presence of God and before all these witnesses, and having confirmed the same by each giving and receiving a ring, and by joining hands, I, as a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ, pronounce you husband and wife. What God has joined together, let no man split apart. Hey, Brian, you may kiss your bride. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to present to you Mr. and Mrs. Brian Paul.